A toilet for 8.2 million. The expensive and bizarre products from the brand, Louis Vuitton. By the way, Louis Vuitton has always been accused of capturing black Africans and exhibiting them like humans in cages. But did you know that this controversial and insanely expensive brand was founded by a 13-year-old boy? This boy ran away from his abusive stepmother and embarked on a 450-kilometer-long journey on foot. Hello, friends. In 2014, a user posted on Louis Vuitton, basically saying that between the 19th and 20th centuries, Louis Vuitton used to hold exhibitions of black Africans to entertain their white clients, much like animals are kept in zoos for people's entertainment. However, this matter didn't create much stir back then. But in 2021, this post suddenly went viral, and big celebrities began reposting it. Besides this, another accusation against Louis Vuitton is that during World War II, it was the only brand that continued to profit while other businesses were going bankrupt. How? Well, by kind of betraying the country and staying in the good books of the Nazis. A book was written to commemorate 150 years of Louis Vuitton, which revealed that Louis Vuitton's grandson shook hands with Nazi Germany to save his business and in return started making luggage bags for them. That's why, on the one hand, while the Nazis shut down all other brand stores, the Louis Vuitton store remained open. In fact, it was even revealed that where Louis Vuitton's particular store was, there was also a hidden office of the anti-Vichy French government in the same building. Now, apart from these controversial allegations, there are some other strange things for which Louis Vuitton is famously known. For example, believe it or not, a Louis Vuitton bag is opened and closed over 5,000 times repeatedly, just to test the strength of its zippers and chains. Additionally, the process of making each Louis Vuitton bag is so intense that 20 to 30 artisans work meticulously on it for 8 full days. That's why each Louis Vuitton bag is entirely handmade, without using any heavy machinery. Now, obviously, following such an elaborate process to make bags is not something any small company can do, which is why Louis Vuitton is a luxury brand worth 64 billion euros. This all began with a man who once didn't even have enough money for food. The story starts in 1835, when a 13-year-old boy named Louis Vuitton, frustrated with the abuse from his stepmother, ran away from home and kept walking until he reached his destination, Paris, 469 kilometers away. It took him 2 years to complete this long journey, but along the way, Louis tried to master different skills, sometimes working as a kitchen helper, sometimes as a waiter. With this experience, when Louis arrived in Paris, he noticed that railway travel was becoming more popular. He immediately started working as a professional luggage packer for the rich elite. Yes, luggage packer was an actual job back then because the ladies of that time wore such heavy and elaborate dresses that sometimes 50 to 60 luggage trunks were needed to pack everything. While working there, Louis noticed that the luggage bag and trunk business was booming at the time. Back then, trunks were made in such a way that they were heavy, impractical to carry, and took up a lot of space. To solve this problem, Louis opened his own shop and started making a new type of luggage bag. Louis was the first to use canvas instead of animal skin to make the trunks tight and durable, and he designed the shape geometrically so that as many bags as possible could be stacked in one place. This new concept, or innovation, was such a game changer that, while it may seem silly now, in 1858, this invention revolutionized the entire travel industry. Let me tell you, that was the time when rail transportation had just started. Due to war and political reasons, people were traveling from one place to another with their luggage. On one hand, Louis Vuitton introduced and started his business, while on the other, many families were going into financial loss. This war taught people that the future can be highly unpredictable, and that's when people started taking future planning seriously. In fact, the recent COVID era reminded us once again how important future planning is and why investment and insurance plans are essential for staying safe. In fact, the boxes made by Louis Vuitton were so perfect that Empress Eugénie, wife of Napoleon III, appointed Louis as her personal boxmaker. But Louis's fortune truly changed when Empress Eugénie traveled to Egypt to attend the opening of the Suez Canal. With his trunks, Louis became an international hit. Russian, Egyptian, and Spanish aristocrats who attended the ceremony instantly became loyal customers. But it wasn't all a happy ending. Louis's success was quite short-lived because in 1870, during the Franco-Prussian War, he had to flee overnight with his entire family. Despite earning so much fame, there was a time when Louis's family was surviving in refugee camps, struggling with hunger. And even after the war ended, the family's problems didn't. When they finally returned home, they found that not only had their house been looted, but all their workshop materials had also been stolen. Essentially, Louis was back to square one again. But was he really? Because now he had even more experience, and he knew that the success of his bags was due to their unique innovation. To replicate this success and make his bags famous once again, Louis came up with another innovative idea. This time, he started adding red and beige striped patterns to luggage trunks, making them easy for customers to spot their luggage being loaded or unloaded from a distance. This not only provided convenience to passengers, but also gave the brand a premium feel. And just like that, history repeated itself. Louis's bags once again dominated the market. But then another twist came into the story. Suddenly, Louis passed away. How, why, and under what circumstances are still unknown. After Louis's death, the entire business was passed into the hands of his son, Georges. And as the saying goes, like father, like son, Georges was no less than his father. He innovated the Louis Vuitton bags further and invented a luggage lock so secure that even the famous escape artist Harry Houdini refused to attempt breaking it. At that time, passengers' biggest complaint was theft, which Georges identified and solved with his invention. This lock was so strong that no one could unlock it. With this, Louis Vuitton once again began to create a buzz in the market, strengthening people's trust in the brand. Gradually, Louis Vuitton stores started opening all over Europe. During this time, Georges, in memory of his father, gave the company its famous Louis Vuitton monogram and floral pattern. So, from this story, we can understand that Louis Vuitton was an innovator from the very beginning, and that's why the company received a healthy push from the start. But the surprising thing is that even with so many successful luxury brands today, Louis Vuitton has managed to maintain its top position without getting distracted. The main reason behind this is exclusivity. Did you know that Louis Vuitton's legal team consists of 60 lawyers, and the company spends $17 million every year just to take legal action against fake Louis Vuitton product producers in the market? They regulate the quality of their products at an extreme level and are extremely serious about their brand. They do not want even a little bit of their goodwill to dilute in the market. Additionally, unlike most brands, Louis Vuitton never outsources its manufacturing to cheap labor. Yes, the entire manufacturing process takes place only in France. Louis Vuitton believes that by doing so, they can maintain the quality of their products and the trust of their customers, as it gives them a sense of exclusivity. Recently, to maintain customer loyalty and authenticity, Louis Vuitton introduced the concept of mobile boutiques. This idea emerged during the COVID era when customers started avoiding public places. All the customer has to do is book an appointment, and the vehicle, loaded with their desired products, arrives at their doorstep, providing a store-like experience without having to visit the store. The store comes directly to their home. I'm sure you've never seen Louis Vuitton on sale. Well, according to reports, every Louis Vuitton product has a set sales target. Once that target is met, the product is withdrawn from the market. These products are either given to employees as an exclusive loyalty reward or destroyed, but they are never put on sale. It's a well-planned business, but here's another interesting fact. Today, Louis Vuitton is not run by a member of the Louis Vuitton family, but by an outsider. But what's even more fascinating is how one single move by this individual doubled the company's profit margin. Here's what happened. Georges Vuitton had 3 grandsons who had very different views on how the company should be run. These differing views often led to clashes between them. Finally, their brother-in-law, Henri Racamier, decided to take charge of Louis Vuitton. When Racamier joined and studied Louis Vuitton's distribution process, he noticed that retailers were selling the bags at 100% profit, and the manufacturers, the company, weren't getting a share of this profit. The company's profit percentage was significantly lower compared to the retailers. So Racamier instantly introduced a new strategy, vertical integration strategy. By doing so, where other luxury brands had a profit margin of hardly 15 to 20%, Louis Vuitton's profit margin shot up to 40%, literally doubling. Now the question arises, what is vertical integration? Simply put, in vertical integration, a company takes control of the entire process, from sourcing raw materials to delivering the final product to the customer. Everything is done by the company itself. In short, Louis Vuitton eliminated the need for retailers, middlemen, and profit sharing. This strategy was not only brilliant for Louis Vuitton because the profit margin increased, but also because it allowed the company to have full control over quality, customer experience, and brand goodwill. Louis Vuitton now held the reins of everything. It's quite surprising that even with such a rich history, an outsider took over Louis Vuitton, and ever since has continued to prove his worth by running the company successfully. And today, this outsider still runs Louis Vuitton. Regarding allegations, there was a claim that Louis Vuitton once organized a colonialism exhibition, but there's no solid evidence that they displayed humans during the event. Hence, we can't pass any final comments on this matter. Friends, if you learned something new from this video, don't forget to give it a like. Also, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss any updates on our upcoming videos. See you next time. Until then, as always, take care, keep learning, and keep growing.